I, 32 male, was married to my wife, let's call her Emily, 29 female, for a year. Have known her for 3.5. I met her through her brother, Mike. He and I crossed paths at a local startup event and started hanging out. Once I was at his place playing Black Ops 4, he had his sister over. She was dang attractive and showed interest in me. We had dinner together. I asked Mike, "Do you mind if I take Emily's number? Bro code, you know?" He nodded. Emily and I exchanged numbers and eventually started dating. And before long, her parents were singing my praises. She took me to meet them after it was just a couple of months of seeing each other. Her parents lived about 4 hours away. Initially, I was reluctant to travel so far, but after meeting them once, the travel was worth it. They were warm and loving. Mike had moved to another city for his business purposes by the time we got engaged. Felt like his only job was matchmaking. Her parents loved that I was a hardworking chap, focused on my career, and didn't indulge in stupid stuff. I was building a small business on the side while acing my full-time job in finance. Father-in-law was in the military, had money and reputation. To them, I was exactly the kind of man they wanted for their daughter. He even said they wished Mike was more like me. Not that he was a bum, but he was not stable in his career. Had one failing business after another. Didn't complete college to pursue his entrepreneurial dream. Father-in-law kept bailing him out of the debt his sinking businesses incurred. Asked him to finish his college and get a job. Even offered to pay for it, but he didn't agree. Hence, he was upset with him. When they got to know I was from an Ivy League college on a full ride, they were blown away. I have never seen someone so proud of me. My own parents never cared. I just got a cold congratulations on my graduation day. So it was a big deal for me. I was raised by my aunt. My parents got divorced when I was 9. Both went in different directions, got married to other people, and have their own families. Anyway, that's a story for another day. So I always craved a normal family life. When I got so much love and respect from Emily's parents, I was ecstatic. Within 2 years of dating her, I put a ring on her finger. I wanted to have a family, have babies, grow old together. She was loving, and most importantly, investing in our future. She had a long list of goals for us. A dream house where the kids would grow up, a retirement home by the sea, financially free by 50, and so on. We didn't take luxury trips or buy expensive stuff for the house. Even if I wanted to buy a new furniture, she would be like, "Let's save it for our future home. This is a rented place. We invest so much here." It sounded logical to me at the time. Life was steady until last month when she told me that Mike's old friend was visiting town for some work and would be staying with us. Let's call him Luke. She described him as Mike's childhood buddy, practically family, someone who grew up alongside them in the same neighborhood. Said he was like a brother to her. I remember asking her why I hadn't met him before. He wasn't at our wedding, hadn't shown up at any events her parents had hosted. She brushed it off quickly. "His parents moved from their countryside home a few years ago, lost touch with everyone. Luke's a guitarist and travels the country for his performances. Was in town to perform for some private school." I didn't think much of it at first, but when I finally met him, something didn't sit right. Emily's family carried themselves like they were upper class. They had this air of sophistication. It didn't seem like Luke's parents would fit in their friend circle. Maybe I judged his parents by his looks. I can't help but the man looked like life had chewed him up and spit him out. He wore some weird oversized clothes, tattoos all over, and green dyed hair. Worst, he reeked like he had just chain smoked a pack of cigarettes. He called himself an artist, said he was performing at some corporate event. To me, he looked more like someone who had been broke for ages, floating from one gig to another without much to show for it. I asked Emily how long he'd be staying. She hesitantly replied, "Just a couple of days." Fair enough, I thought. I didn't mind playing host, but 2 days became 4, and I asked when he was leaving. Not in a bad way, but as a host, you would want to know your guest's plan. She said, "Oh yeah, actually the school offered him a project to teach guitar to the kids for a week, so we might stay for a few more days." It sounded absurd, but I was okay. Just a matter of a few more days. Then days turned into a week, and suddenly we were closing in on 2 weeks. When I asked again, she was like, "I think I got mistaken. It was a 3-week project and not 1. Just a matter of 1 more week. You know. Hope he's not disturbing you." I nodded. He's not. What bothered me wasn't just his stay, it was her behavior around him. She was doting on him like he was some honored guest, cooking special meals, doing his laundry, driving him around town like his personal chauffeur. She even took him sightseeing, showing him parts of the city we hadn't even explored together. Do you guys think it's normal? Am I overthinking? Update 1. It took a weird turn. One evening on the third week, I was on a call with my team. It usually lasts for an hour, but that day it ended early. So I came out of my room and walked past the hallway. I overheard her whisper sharply, "Stop it, he's gonna know." I froze for a second and looked toward the living room. I thought I caught a glimpse of her pulling her hand back quickly, as though he had just been holding it. It was so quick that I doubted my vision. Whether it was just her hand movement, was I mistaken or something else? I didn't confront her. Had to know the truth before doing so. I didn't want him to leave yet. If he does, I'd never uncover the truth. So instead I did the opposite. I warmed up to him, forced a smile, and told him he could stay as long as he wanted. He seemed almost relieved. I played the idiot husband. The next day, I left the office half day. On my way home, I bought a tiny camera and placed it where it could record without being obvious in plain sight. It had its own Wi-Fi transmitter that I could link to a secure app on my phone. Once connected, I could monitor everything from anywhere real time. It didn't blink or beep. I had a couple of hours before they would arrive, so I neatly placed it on the top shelf of the guest room. For backup, I placed another one in the living room, tucked neatly behind a stack of magazines, both connected to my phone in minutes. The feed was clear. Then I waited for her to come back. Her usual return time is 6, but on that evening, she was there at 5. And she wasn't alone. Luke was with her. When they saw me already in, they looked shocked. Emily goes, "Oh, you're already home. Actually, I wrapped up early. Luke's school was on my way, so I picked him up." I smiled. "No worries. I came early to pack. Have an early morning meeting tomorrow at the client's office, so I have to leave now. Flight is in 2 hours. Was waiting to inform you. We'll be back tomorrow night. Anyways, you take care." I kissed her goodbye, picked up my small overnight bag, and checked into a hotel just a few miles away. The second I settled in, I pulled up the live feed on my phone. What I saw over the next 24 hours shattered me. The moment I was gone, they stopped pretending. It was instant without hesitation. They were hugging, kissing, whispering to each other like teenagers in love. It was like a honeymoon to them. She called me after a few hours to check if I had already landed safely. I said yes. She was saying I love you and miss you while being wrapped around him. They effed like wild animals. I couldn't even watch them after a few seconds. Who can watch their wife getting grilled by someone else in your own bed? But you know that wasn't even the worst part of it. It was the talks that they had after they were done satisfying their lust. They weren't just fooling around, but were planning a future together at the expense of my destruction. The guy cuddles her and in desperation says, "You have to tell him when he's back." "I'm sick of waiting." She kissed him, chuckled. "Not yet. He's due for that promotion soon. After that, we have to get him to buy our dream house and double down the investment. Then I'll make my move." That was when I understood the game she'd been playing for so long. She was never interested in taking luxury vacations or buying expensive upgrades to the house. I thought she was frugal. No, she was stockpiling wealth for her eventual exit. If I wanted to go for a trip, she would suggest a weekend getaway and ask me to save the rest for our future. If I wanted to buy a comfy couch, she would be like, "Let's buy the house first, and then everything else." Sometimes I would get angry at her stinginess. Yes, saving for the future is good, but sacrificing today's happiness for tomorrow annoyed me sometimes. She kept saying our future, but what she really meant was her future with Luke. There was another talk where she said she was waiting for us to be married for 5 years before filing for divorce. In our state, anything less than 5 years was considered short term, and the settlement would be minimal. After 5 years, she'd be entitled to spousal support, a share of the house, and half the joint investments. And since I had contributed 90% of the money into those accounts, she stood to walk away with far more than she ever deserved. I immediately, without wasting a second, I lawyered up while still at the hotel. He helped me dissect her actual game plan. While she was controlling our expenses to save for the house and investment, she never hesitated to splurge on luxury bags, designer clothes, and high-end shoes because those were counted as personal lifestyle, which she could later argue she was accustomed to, and she claimed the maintenance was in par with her living standards. For 24 hours straight, I watched them spending time together, wrapped up in each other's arms with barely any clothes on. They cooked meals, cuddled on the couch, and effed on my bed. And all the while, sketching out their grand plan for a life built on the ruins of mine. I came back home and acted as if nothing was wrong. Instead, I hugged and kissed her in front of Luke and gave her the big news. Told her I got the big promotion I'd been waiting for years. I also figured that Luke was having a tough time dealing with her marriage. In one of the talks, he said, "My blood boils whenever he touches you. If not for money, I wouldn't have let him touch you." Seeing us get cozy, he pushed off. I called on him, "Hey, where are you going?" "On the 18th, I'm throwing a party to celebrate this win." Hoping to have her family together. You shouldn't miss it." He pushed back that his project is over and next week he has to be somewhere else, so he couldn't make it. I insisted his presence, but didn't push much. He left that very evening. The ETA of the paperwork was 4 to 5 days, so I threw a party on the next weekend where I had planned to serve her after exposing her dirty laundry in front of her whole family. For the next week, I played the role of doting husband, cooked for her, complimented her, and even took her out to dinner one night. She had no idea I was burning out on the inside. Every moment she laughed, every time she touched me, I had to resist the urge to burst, but I needed this last act to be perfect. I sent out the invite to her parents and Mike, told them I was throwing a small party to celebrate my promotion. At first, I'd also planned to invite friends, coworkers, even a few of my relatives. However, when I thought through it, it felt cruel to blindside her parents publicly. They had been nothing but loving and kind to me. They treated me like a son. They didn't deserve to be humiliated in front of an audience. So, I pared the guest list down. On the evening of the party, she decorated the house, arranged the appetizers, and lined up the wine glasses with soft jazz playing in the background. I'd even bought a cake with "To New Beginnings" piped on it. She even floated around in a new dress, smiling, acting like the perfect wife. When her parents arrived, they hugged me warmly. As always, Mike came in next. While exchanging pleasantries, I subtly let out, "I just wish Luke could have stayed for the party. Would have been nice to have everyone together." The effect was instant. Her parents exchanged a quick, sharp look. Her father's face tightened, and with a confused tone asked, "Luke?" I feigned confusion. "Mike's friend. Emily told me his parents were your neighbors. They all grew up together." Their faces went from confused to mortified in a heartbeat. Her father sharply said, "We've never had any neighbors named Luke." Emily tried to jump in. Maybe I mixed up the names. He's one of Mike's childhood friends." But before she could finish, I acted dumb. "I think the steak is burning. Let me attend it." My plan was to leave them alone with that information. Rightly so, I saw her mother pulling her aside into the hallway, though I pretended to be busy hosting. I could see her whispering sharply, and her face red with anger. While they were on it, Mike casually asked me about Luke, how long he was here, when did he come, and when he left. I replied with a straight face, giving him the vibe that I already knew something. Didn't want to come across evil when I reveal later, and they think I played them. Once everyone had eaten, I raised a toast. I just wanted to thank Emily for her support these past few years. She really pushed me to work hard for my promotion, made me save up and invest in my future. So I put together a little audio montage. Emily's eyes widened. "Audio montage? What do you—" I hit play on my phone. I had put together all the meaty parts of their conversation, which conveyed their motive and left out the physical part. It went without saying that they were fooling around. It started with Luke's voice saying, "You have to tell him when he's back. I'm sick of waiting." Emily's voice replying, "Not yet. He's due for that promotion soon. After that, we have to get him to buy our dream house and double the investment. Then I'll make my move." The room went dead silent. Her father's face turned red with rage. Her mother explained, "What the hell? Is this true?" Mike blurted out, "Bro, let me come clean. Luke isn't my friend. I don't even know his last name. She made it up." I narrated the whole incident, how she had him under my roof, lied, and plotted against me. Her mother had earlier joked about giving her a grandchild. After exposing Emily, I told her mother, "You wanted a grandchild? Guess what? Your daughter's planning to have one with Luke and pin it on me, and then milk me the whole life for child support." I had the audio of that part as well, but I didn't play it. I had proved my point that I wasn't lying. Emily's composure cracked. She stammered, "It's not what it sounds like, I swear." But her mother was cut her off. "How could you be so evil?" Her father thundered, "You've brought shame to this family." Emily started crying, reaching out to her mother. "Please, Mom, listen." But her mother stepped back. The scorn on her family's face was unmistakable. I let the silence drag on before I spoke again. "I have the video too, but I don't think any of you want to see it. This audio's enough." I took out the neatly folded envelope from my jacket and placed it on the table in front of her. "You've been served. My attorney will contact yours. Consider this the official intimation." She froze and just then whispered, "You can't do this." I looked her dead in the eye. "I can, and I just did." Her father lowered his head in shame and then narrated the whole story. Emily has been seeing this loser for many years. Her parents never approved of Luke because he was broke and didn't take his life seriously. He was caught up in some shady activities multiple times. When I first met Emily at Mike's place, she sensed I was attracted to her, and since then she made a plan. Mike also thought I was better for Emily than Luke. That's why he let me date his sister. He swore it was not out of malicious intentions. He thought she had broken up with him after he was arrested for beating up a security guard in a supermarket. However, in hindsight, she actually never stopped seeing him, but she wanted money and stability, which Luke could never give. Hence, she went after me. Milk my money and leave me dry, and spend her life comfortably with her lover. Emily pleaded and begged me to hear her out. I snapped, "Tell me what you want to say." She sobbed and said, "Luke was blackmailing me to meet him, hence I had to have him here. I said all of those things just to get him off my back. I love you. I can't lose you. I'm not a fool to toss my stable life for him." Her mother screamed at her. "And how do you plan to get rid of him?" she whispered. "He's on parole. If he's proved guilty, he'll be in jail." Her father snapped, "That's your plan? What is he blackmailing you for? Show me his threats. I'm going to deal with him." She had nothing to back her claim, except for pleading, "Please trust me. Don't divorce me. I love you." I looked at her parents and said, "You think I can believe her?" He looked at me and nodded once, like a silent apology, then pushed his chair back and stood up. "You're no longer our daughter." Emily broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. She tried to explain, to justify, to blame Luke, but nobody was listening anymore. Her mother looked at her in disgust and followed her father out. Mike muttered something along the lines, "Should have told the truth," patted sorry, and walked out. I sat there watching her collapse. Then I packed my essential stuff into 2 suitcases, dragged them into my car, and moved out to a hotel. I'd used that 1 week's time to find a new place, but it will take another week to get one. Until then, I'm staying at a hotel. Thanks for reading this. If people show interest, I'll post what happens next. Update 2. After I moved out of the apartment that evening, I informed the landlord about it and struck off my name from the lease. A few days later, I went back to the place during her office hours, packed the remaining stuff, and put it in storage until I got my own apartment. It went down for Emily. Her parents cut contact with her. She tried calling me dozens of times that night, crying, begging, swearing she had been forced into it. My lawyer had already told me that the key was not to get caught up in her emotional manipulation, but to stick strictly to the facts and let the evidence do the talking. The next week, Emily finally got her lawyer and came out swinging. She filed a response claiming I had been neglectful, that I worked too much, didn't spend enough time with her, and that her emotional needs were not met. Standard playbook stuff. My attorney was ready. We had the video evidence, the audio clips, the entire timeline of Luke's stay, and even her own recorded words where she said she was waiting for the 5-year mark to cash out. That little slip of hers was gold. It proved intent and outright fraud. My lawyer made sure that was the central argument. The judge's face when he heard her voice on tape, "Let's wait for the promotion in house before I make my move," said it all. Emily's lawyer tried to argue that the recordings violated privacy, but mine countered instantly. Since they were recorded inside my own home, where I had the legal right to surveillance, it was admissible. That shut them down fast. When it came to assets, my lawyer had been brilliant. When I first discovered the affair, he advised me to move my liquid funds into a separate account under my name only. Since 90% of the investments were already in my contribution, he argued that the joint account was funded almost exclusively by me, and she couldn't prove otherwise. The house fund and retirement savings were locked tight, with transaction history showing I had been the one making deposits. In the end, the judgment was brutal for her. She walked away with nothing. No spousal support, no share of the investments, no right to the house fund. The court ruled her conduct was deceitful and malicious. The last I heard, she has moved out of the apartment because she couldn't afford the rent. Beyond that, she doesn't exist in my world. Luke? The rock star who can't even afford his own cigarettes? What a prize. She traded an Ivy League, financially stable husband for dollar store Kurt Cobain. All that scheming, all those future plans, and she ended up with nothing but her parents disowning her and a loser with green hair. Imagine scheming for years, stockpiling someone else's money, and then getting wiped out in court so fast she couldn't even afford the rent after. She totally shot herself in the foot, and I'm here for it. What do you make of this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in our space. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.